Artificial intelligence is an extremely powerful tool, and as a small business owner or content creator, you can use it to create more content and/or better content in less time. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you 6 different AI tools that you can use to work smarter and not harder in order to create more content that is more captivating, thus allowing you to get more views, grow more followers, and most of all, convert those followers into customers. All 6 of these AI tools are tools that I use on a weekly basis that allow me to spend less time on Instagram. In fact, I'm now spending only about 15 minutes per day actually using Instagram for business, and the rest of my time is spent being an actual business owner or doing the things that only I can do, which is create content like the podcast that you're watching right now. Let's get right into things. AI tool number 1 is one that you definitely haven't heard of before, and it's none other than ChatGPT. Of course, all jokes aside, you've definitely heard of it. You've probably used ChatGPT. But while this may sound simple and you might be thinking, really, did I just click on a podcast that was about AI tools and he's talking about ChatGPT? Yes, because I firmly believe that if you can use these tools better, then you don't need 17 other tools. You don't need a subscription to every new AI app, which it feels like there's a new one every single week popping up that you need to download and need to hop on. If you can use ChatGPT better, then you're going to be ahead of 90% of other small business owners and content creators. And my first tip that will help you use ChatGPT better is instead of only asking ChatGPT questions and giving ChatGPT instructions, I want you to start asking ChatGPT to ask you questions. Oftentimes, when we are prompting ChatGPT and giving it instructions, we're guessing at the information that it needs to know, when ultimately it knows what it needs to know. It knows what information would be most helpful for it to create the best possible outcome for you. So tell it the outcome that you want it to create, but then ask ChatGPT literally to ask you questions so that it can help create a better output for you. My second tip to use ChatGPT better is to use projects. An easy way to think about ChatGPT and projects is that I want you to imagine every conversation that you have with ChatGPT as a piece of paper that you are putting into a binder. If all you do when using ChatGPT is open a new thread, ask a random question, ask it to help you write a reel, whatever that is, and then repeat that process the next time you open ChatGPT, it's never going to learn very well. It's not going to be as advanced as you would want it to be. It's not going to remember all of the things you want it to remember. Instead, when you use projects, it's kind of like putting a folder into that binder. So you can tell ChatGPT that whenever you are working within that folder, it's going to automatically remember all of the other pieces of paper that you have previously put into that folder. I have a separate folder for YouTube, a separate folder for Instagram Reels, a separate folder for my email copywriting, and I use these different folders, or as I should say, actually called projects, so that ChatGPT can remember more details about me without me having to repeat them every single time. For example, if I need help coming up with a script for one of my Reels, I don't have to start by telling ChatGPT what my niche is, what my goals are, what my normal tone of voice is. I have had so many previous conversations with it that it already knows those things about me. Additionally, I have uploaded transcripts, I have uploaded PDFs, I have uploaded files and documents that show ChatGPT, this is what I normally speak like, this is my normal speaking pattern, this is my normal tone and style of voice, so that not only has it learned that through our back and forth conversations, but it has literally read hours and hours of how I normally speak so that I don't have to tell it all of that information. For those of you who don't know, if you want ChatGPT to store any specific information or prompt or data that you have given it, literally just ask it. Tell ChatGPT what your niche is and then say, remember this information for our future conversations, and it will respond, got it, I've taken note of your niche. Another thing that I love to do within ChatGPT projects is store prompts. So instead of having to copy and paste the same prompt every single time, I will put in the prompt once, and oftentimes I will leave it with blanks or intentional areas that I will later fill in based off the specific details. And then I will ask ChatGPT to store that prompt as maybe a certain keyword or even just a certain letter. For example, the descriptions below each of these YouTube videos is oftentimes created, at least partially, by ChatGPT. And instead of having to give ChatGPT this really long prompt detailing all of the instructions that I want and all of the things I want included and excluded from my description, I can just say the letter D and then a colon, and then the title of the YouTube video. And then it will figure out the rest and create the description for me without needing that additional information. But with all of that said, I know sometimes it's nice to just have someone give you a prompt. So let me read this one off to you. And by the way, this entire prompt is written in the description of this episode. So if you want to just copy and paste it, you can do that too. But the prompt is: you are an expert Instagram strategist who helps creators plan viral reels. Create a detailed reel outline for someone in the blank niche whose ideal audience is blank, period. Their tone should be insert tone or style, and the goal of this post is blank. The topic is, and then insert the main idea, and the preferred video style is talking head, trend, tutorial, B-roll, skit, etc., with a target length of insert amount of time. Include a one-sentence overview, 3 different hook options, a beat-by-beat outline with timestamps and short text-on-screen suggestions, visual and camera direction, and a caption. Write everything in a way that maximizes retention, relatability, and shareability, and match the pacing and tone to my ideal audience. End by suggesting a fitting call to action and possibly a few audios or background songs that fit the mood of the video. Now, obviously, if you've already created a folder or what ChatGPT calls a project, then you won't have to spend as much time when filling out that prompt by telling it what your niche is or your audience description or your preferred kind of reel, because it will know all of that information already. The final tip that I want to give to you about ChatGPT before we move on is that you should be treating ChatGPT like a human being assistant, like someone who is on your staff. And what I mean by that is that you should be giving feedback and corrections directly to ChatGPT. If I had a staff member whose sole job was writing emails, which I do by the way, and she wrote an email for me and I was like, it's good, but it's not great. And then I took it and I rewrote it myself before it was sent off to our email list, then she would never learn. And every single time she finished writing an email, she would think she did a good job, but then I would have to spend extra time and work revising and editing it. Instead, if whenever she gave me an email, I gave her the feedback, I told her the corrections to make, and I didn't tell her explicitly what to correct or what to change, but I told her how I wanted it to change. I gave her feedback on why I liked certain things or why I didn't like certain things or how I wanted the email to come across. Then over time, she would become a much better email copywriter. And then each time she finished writing an email, I would have to spend less time giving her feedback and way less time correcting or rewriting the email myself. And so what I want you to do is when you are using ChatGPT, treat it the same way. Rather than just taking what it gives you and then editing it on your own or taking the scripts that it writes for your reels and then tweaking the words as you go, give it the feedback and continue to give it the feedback until it gets it right, and make sure you're asking it to remember the feedback along the way so that it's actually learning from what you're telling it. I think ChatGPT is a great tool, but admittedly, it's not necessarily an expert in any one area. It's really a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And oftentimes, ChatGPT is getting its information, its strategies from places like Reddit and Wikipedia, which aren't always the most trustworthy of sources. And that's why I have created my own ChatGPT, if you will. I like to call it the Brockbot. And the Brockbot is if my brain, my Instagram strategies, tips, knowledge, all of the things that you hear on this podcast and more, my private notes, my detailed strategies, the things we teach inside the InstaClubHub, all of that and ChatGPT had a baby together. So it's a generative AI chatbot, just like ChatGPT. It works, using it, interfacing with it, communicating with it is just like ChatGPT. But the difference is it is already an Instagram expert. And so while ChatGPT might require certain prompts to get you the best Instagram outputs, for example, you might have to tell ChatGPT that you want your hooks to be between 5 and 10 words long, you want them to be below a 5th grade reading level, and you want them to be negative framed if possible, because that's what I teach. If you use the Brockbot, you don't have to spend all that extra time prompting it because it already knows. It's already been trained on all of my strategies and best practices. And so that's why AI tool number 2 that I recommend to save time and get better results on Instagram is the Brockbot. If you're an InstaClubHub annual or lifetime member, you get free access to the Brockbot. If you're an InstaClubHub monthly member, there's a discounted Brockbot membership inside the InstaClubHub. And if you have no idea what the InstaClubHub is, then you can purchase the Brockbot for, I think it's about $11 a month. I'll put the link down in the show notes below. Quick side story about the Brockbot. When I was creating it, I was trying to figure out like where I was going to host it, what was the web tool and service that I was going to use to have the Brockbot in one location. And I'm not a very techie person. The worst grade that I got in my entire life, high school, college, everything, was actually a computer programming and tech web design class that I took in college. I almost failed. I think I got like a D minus. I don't know how that technically passed, but I digressed. And so when I was trying to figure out where to host the Brockbot, I stumbled across HighLevel, a tool that you have likely heard of before. And I didn't really know much about it, but I quickly learned that it's truly a jack of all trades. It is a tool that you can use to have your email list, to host your membership site, to have a course, to have your funnels built. Basically, anything that you would want to do on the systems, automations, or marketing side of your business can be done on HighLevel. And my favorite part about HighLevel is that even though it's a jack of all trades, so it can fit your needs and grow with you as your business and hopefully your team grows, they have unequivocally the best customer service and customer support that I have ever experienced in my entire life. Like I said, I suck at coding. I suck at all that techie stuff. But when I was setting up my HighLevel site for the first time, I was able to literally within seconds hop on a Zoom call with some of their customer support team who was just standing by ready to help me out. And they were able to walk me step by step through everything that I needed to do. And it was so extremely impressive. And so if you're an entrepreneur who has an agency or a small business that you're trying to grow, I highly recommend checking out HighLevel, especially if you're someone who wants something that's simple, something that can grow with you over time, but you're actually going to get the seed planted and growing in the first place. Down in the description, I'll make sure to put the link to sign up for HighLevel, and I highly recommend it because at the end of the day, growing an Instagram is not the same as growing a business. You need the third-party tools, the software, the automations, the tech, the email list, the landing page, the membership, all of those things. You need that to actually have a business. And when using HighLevel, you can create those things easier than anywhere else. The third AI tool that's going to save you so much time on Instagram is Opus Clip. Opus Clip is a video editing software that basically takes your long form video, whether it's a podcast, a YouTube video, an Instagram live, or just a long video that you have recorded, and it automatically pulls out succinct soundbite moments. And the cool thing about Opus Clip is that it will automatically chop it up for you. It can remove dead spaces, and it can even add closed captions if you want it to, so that most of the editing is done for you. 3 pro tips that I want to recommend for you if you are going to use Opus Clip or any similar app that takes long form videos and cuts them down into short form is number 1, make sure that the video can stand on its own. I think way too often I have seen podcasters and YouTubers take clips that were automatically generated by Opus Clip or Munch or whomever, and they just post that as it is onto their Instagram. But the clip has no context. It can't stand on its own. It kind of feels like just a random segment from a YouTube video, and so it's not very engaging. And also, because it's not a complete coherent thought, when we finish watching the clip, the call to action is like, okay, well, if you want to understand this clip, if you want the full context, if you want to know more, watch the full YouTube video. But let's be real. If someone's scrolling on Instagram, getting them to go watch a YouTube video, getting them to go listen to a podcast is not easy because they're going from 8-second clip, 8-second clip, 8-second clip, short video, story. And then you're asking them to watch a 30-minute YouTube video or listen to an hour-long podcast. It's just a completely different mindset. And so I think posting about your YouTube videos or your podcasts on Instagram is helpful, definitely. I mean, I do it all the time myself, but posting about your YouTube videos or your podcasts just as a way to kind of wave the advertising flag and let people know that the podcast is there and encourage them to go listen right now, it's probably not going to have the best results. Instead, you're going to have much better results. Like I said, tip number 1 was if the clip itself, if the moment, if the soundbite has context, or if it's cohesive and it has a coherent thought so that people can understand what the clip is about and learn from it or be entertained by it without having to watch the full podcast. And one easy way that you can do that is tip number 2, which is use what I like to call the 2-slide carousel. I talked about this idea in last week's episode about 9 creative Instagram hacks. And I also talked about this in my 8 creative carousel ideas video, where I give you 8 creative carousel ideas. But essentially, the 2-slide carousel has a first slide that operates as a hook, a headline. It's just a few short words, maybe 1 to 2 sentences max, that creates curiosity and makes someone want to swipe and basically read the rest of the story or watch the rest of the content. But then when they swipe onto that second slide of the carousel, instead of being more text or a detailed story, it's the reel, it's the video, it's the clip that Opus Clip automatically created for you from your YouTube video or podcast. And then my final tip for those of you who are going to be using Opus Clip or Munch or any other adjacent tool is make sure that you add B-roll. Some of these tools will automatically give you spaces where you can insert your own B-roll. Some of them will automatically grab B-roll clips for you from stock footage, and some of them will even use AI tools to create B-roll that is AI generated, which is pretty cool, pretty powerful, but just make sure that you're adding B-roll. B-roll is visuals. B-roll is the behind the scenes footage. B-roll is videos that relate to what you're talking about so that it's not just a talking head video. Because I know this is going to be crazy to say as a podcaster, someone who's just been talking to the camera for the last 20 minutes, it can be pretty boring to just watch a talking head. So the more B-roll, the more visuals, the more additional clips or photos that you can add to your reel, the more engaging it will be. AI tool number 4 that will allow you to create more posts in less time and get better results because your posts are going to be more engaging is Canva. Now, Canva is a tool that so many people have used. I think every small business owner and content creator over the age of 30 has a Canva account at this point. But there are 3 AI tools baked into Canva that I use on pretty much a daily basis. The first one is the background remover tool. The background remover is pretty simple. It just uses AI to detect what the background of the photo is and then remove that from the image. But one of my favorite little tricks that I like to use is I will stack 2 of the exact same photos on top of each other, and then I will remove the background from the image that's on top, which at that point looks no different. But then I will select the bottom image, which is basically the background image, and I will slightly blur that entire image, which just makes it look a little bit out of focus. It allows my focal point, which is in the foreground, to be more in focus or to pop off the page or to stand out. And it's just a very easy way to make your photos look a little bit nicer and allow you to direct people's focus and attention when they're looking at your carousels or photos. The second AI tool that I use in Canva all the time, which by the way, all of these are part of Canva's Magic Studio, is the image extender. Basically, it can fill in the gaps and use predictive AI technologies to figure out what it thinks would be outside of the frames. I often use this when I have a horizontal photo that I want to take up the full page of the carousel, because it's not 2017. We shouldn't have white borders on our photos anymore on Instagram. And then the third AI tool that I use all the time in Canva is the Magic Eraser. The Magic Eraser is also pretty self-explanatory. You can essentially just use a pen and kind of scribble over any part of your photo that you want removed, and Canva will do its best to automatically remove that from the image. AI tool number 5 that I absolutely love is baked into another tool that I absolutely love, which is Metricool. Metricool is the platform that I use to schedule all of my content. I'm currently posting content on about 7 or 8 different platforms, about 30 to 40 individual unique posts per week across all of these platforms. And I love using Metricool so that I can schedule all of those posts in one place, and I can use their baked in AI tools to tailor the content so that it fits each platform. One of my good friends and fellow YouTubers, Sean Cannell, likes to say that each platform has its own dress code. While there might be short form videos on YouTube, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Instagram Reels, and TikTok, ultimately each platform has its own audience, its own users, its own algorithms. And so the way that your content should look and sound and the way that your caption should be written is going to vary slightly from platform to platform. And I don't know about you, but trying to come up with a caption for each platform or trying to custom tailor and put on the right dress code to match each platform would be way too overwhelming. And so I use the Metricool AI assistant to help me rewrite captions, change the tone. I use it to make captions longer or shorter depending on which platform I'm using. To access the Metricool AI assistant, all you have to do is tap this little button inside of Metricool, and then it will open up the window where you can interface with and use their AI assistant. Like I said, play around with all of the different buttons on the right-hand side of the screen, and you'll be pretty impressed with the capabilities of this AI assistant. And then sixth, last but not least, another AI tool that I like to use, and this one is going to be especially helpful for those of you who are visual people, who like to have everything laid out in front of you. If ChatGPT and the Brockbot are frustrating because it's just like a back and forth text conversation, and you want something that you can actually look at, you can zoom out, you can zoom in, and it's all laid out, Poppy AI is the tool for you. An easy way to think of Poppy AI is it's kind of like a whiteboard if the whiteboard itself had all of this super smart AI technology baked into it. Basically, you can drag and drop or copy and paste YouTube videos, Instagram posts, TikTok videos, entire PDFs, files, ebooks. You can take all of this information from different places, links from all over the internet, put it all onto this whiteboard essentially, and then, like a normal human would, use arrows to kind of draw like what is connected to what is supposed to be referenced when, and then you can use it and ask it questions just like you would the Brockbot or ChatGPT. Here's a super easy 4-step workflow that you can use within Poppy. Step number 1 is to find 10 viral videos that you are really inspired by. These could be viral videos within your niche, or they could even be viral videos from outside of your niche that you just find super captivating, super well done, or super engaging. And then paste the link to those 10 reels into your Poppy whiteboard. Basically, you're going to be using these 10 viral videos to inform Poppy and teach it, these are what I'm looking for. These are what I want you to be inspired by. These are what I want you to learn from. Then you're going to take 10 of your own reels. Preferably, these would be reels that fit your normal style. Maybe if they're talking head reels, they're done in the way that you would normally talk, your normal tone, your normal presentation style for your videos. Basically, 10 of your reels that you would point to and say, yeah, these are a good example of what I would normally post. Take those and paste those onto your Poppy board as well. And essentially, those will be used to teach Poppy, hey, this is me. This is what I normally sound like. This is what I normally post about. This is my niche. This is my normal topics, so that Poppy knows those things about you. Then I want you to copy and paste my YouTube video that I posted a few months ago about share-worthy content. Shares are the best form of engagement on Instagram. A share is unequivocally the best way to get more views. If you want to go viral, if you want to reach more people, getting more shares is how you do that. So by taking the link to that YouTube video, which is going to be linked up in the description below, and pasting that onto your Poppy board, you have basically now taught your Poppy assistant what it takes to create share-worthy content. Then basically just use the little arrows and drag and connect all of these different elements into one chat where you will insert the following prompt. Create 5 viral reel outlines, including shot lists and scripts relating to blank. That's where you would give it the topic or what you want the reels to be about, that fit the tone and style of my normal reels, while also incorporating the framework from the 10 viral reels and the tips given by Brock in his YouTube video about share-worthy content. Ultimately, the secret for growing on Instagram is posting a high quantity of high quality content, posting a lot of good posts. And with AI, you can create a lot more posts that are a lot more engaging and captivating in less time, so that you can spend more time doing what only you can do, building relationships, expressing empathy, figuring out the pain points, the struggles, and the challenges of your students and your customers, solving those needs for them, and ultimately running your business. Thank you so much for watching today. And I totally forgot to ask earlier, but if you want more content around growing a business on Instagram, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we come out with a new episode of this podcast every single Monday. And as always, happy networking.